No one wants to hear me burp.
Hello and welcome to the Video Gamer UK podcast. My name is Chris Bratt, and today I'm joined by Mr. Tom Orry.
Hello.
Mr. Jim Drinker.
All right.
And my partner in crime, it's David Scammell.
We did have some fun, didn't we, Bratters?
Just in case anyone was unclear on this, I can confirm that it will be impossible for Dave to ever actually break the law in any kind of serious way.
Yeah.
Because we caused a little bit of mischief last night, and Dave wouldn't even be seen near me in case anything went down.
You are.
Should we explain what's going on?
Yeah, I'm not very good at this, whereas you are the original prankster. So yeah, I'll let you do it.
Yeah, it was the X Factor came to Croydon last night. I don't know if anyone saw.
Simon Cowell and everyone.
Simon Cowell
it was
there.
great.
Simon Cowell
and with his flat head.
Ben Hoobadoobidoo.
Hey now.
What?
Hey now.
Is that actually his name?
now.
Hey now, yeah.
That's incredible. Does he sing that song?
He hasn't done it yet, but I assume it's what they'll do when he goes out.
It's going to be the winner's song.
That'll be harsh. Yeah, well...
She's going to sing it.
Is he not already out?
No,
he's in the final.
That's why he was in
Is he?
Croydon,
Yeah.
Jim.
So they popped down. They did a little ditty outside of the Whit Gift Centre.
Oh, did he?
And, I mean, well, they got there an hour late and performed 2 songs. I wasn't that impressed, to be honest. But
Two songs and he fucks off.
Yeah. But Dave and I went down with a sign promoting VideoGamer.com.
No, it didn't promote VideoGamer.com, did it?
It did.
It said VideoGamer.
I don't know why people...
It didn't say
It didn't-
VideoGamer TV.
It didn't say VideoGamer TV.
Okay, so
say
it said
.com.
subscribe to VideoGamer on the
but
sign.
that's not going to help, is it?
But I know, but I didn't actually think that people would see it and go, yes, I'm going to go and look for
So
their
that
video.
YouTube channel that's just called Video Gamer that isn't ours is going to do really well.
I don't think it is. It's probably damaged them if anything.
On Saturday, this is broadcast somehow makes it onto TV.
I'm pretty sure we got onto
and
telly.
12 million people are watching it, and they all go, "Oh, I'll subscribe to Video Gamer."
Okay, but
that's it.
The part where they will, if they do show the bit in Croydon, then I'm fairly confident we're going to get on. It will be during a montage, and we're somewhere near the back waving.
What
We're not near the back at all.
Are we not?
No, there was loads of people behind us.
They'll
right,
blur
okay.
it, won't they? They'll Photoshop it or do some
Plus,
CG wizardry, and it'll say "Support Ben Hey Now." That sign.
Dave showed me the footage this morning. You're like the only placard in a sea of no placards.
It's
brilliant.
Braz, it's your finest work.
You're so
it's
excited.
amazing.
You're jumping up and down your little face. I can't wait for people to see it.
Yeah, so the actual reason we did it was to record a little video outro. I mean, if we get onto IGTV or in the Croydon Guardian, both of those would just be the icing on the cake.
It's going to be one of those things that's on the Extra Factor, isn't it? It's going to be like, who are Video Gamer? What is this? And it's going to turn into like some sort of Extra Factor meme that we'll have ITV2 coming round to the office interviewing us. Who are you?
I'm not sure that's going to happen.
That'd be great. Please do it.
But yeah, it was it was quite fun doing that part of it. But the hour leading up to Ben actually arriving was...
I'm still shivering.
One of the worst hours of my life. Listening to the 2 DJs from Heart FM. I'm sure it's a fine radio station. They had their work cut out though, didn't they? Because clearly Ben and Simon had arrived pretty late, and they were trying to build up the hype.
Was he in his battle bus?
They said that. They said the hashtag XF Battle Bus.
Oh, that's what they were saying.
And then the PR did a little fist bump, like, yes, I got the hashtag out, yes.
Well, I didn't hear it, so you did a shit job.
Did you see it, the bus?
No. They have erected a bus in Croydon. Have you seen it?
They've erected a bus.
Yeah. Outside game, there's now a little, like a multicoloured bus.
There's loads of them dotted about.
Is that,
I don't know what it is.
Got anything to do with the X Factor?
It says "Do not climb."
No,
I immediately wanted to climb it.
It's a borough-wide art installation. There's all these little different types of buses.
We had one of those in Liverpool, and it was a combination of a lamb and a banana lamb, or maybe a lamb banana. I don't know.
We had one in Edinburgh where it was all cows. There was different coloured cows all around the city. So it's pretty standard. It's the kind of thing that if you haven't seen it in another place, it's like, oh, that's like a quirky little thing to do. It's actually the same bullshit that every council in the land
I'm
has done
pretty
at some
sure
point.
Bournemouth had cows, multicoloured cows.
Probably the same
didn't even
ones.
get the same mascot.
Pretty sure I've seen them there.
That's not great. So yeah, that was last night. It was fun, wasn't it, Dave?
I enjoyed it immensely.
Excellent.
Especially when you moved away from me, so I didn't have to be associated.
We were
with
walking
you.
doing there with the sign, and as we approached the security, I thought Dave was joking. He was like, "Yeah, you have to go walk on your own now." I was like, "What? We're not doing anything illegal, Dave." He's like, "I know, but
The security guard did tell you to stop.
Yeah, but that was later on. Beforehand,
I couldn't believe that. You were told to stop being excitable, mainly, weren't you?
I think it was.
Well, I think it was more like, please stop advertising your thing
your shitty fucking
on our television show.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Right, well, shall we talk about some video games?
Nah.
No.
Excellent.
It's nearly Christmas. What's
There's
everyone
no
getting?
video games. I'm not getting any video games for Christmas.
You're not?
Probably for the
You've
first
already
year.
got Dragon Age to play.
I was going to say, probably
Dragon
for the
Age.
first
I don't know why I said it like that.
in my entire life, I'm not going to be getting any video games.
You've already got them!
I was going to say, because I nick all mine from work now.
I've still got last year's Christmas games to play. I've still got to play Mario 3D World.
I've got Zelda on 3DS to play.
Yeah.
Smashing.
Jeez.
So there you go. But I've asked for Dragon Age.
Yep.
Yep.
Who you asked?
Amazon wishlist. So whoever's got that.
Whoever sees.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
So probably.
Who buys you
Mum.
presents at the moment? Who would buy you a present for Christmas?
All of my loved ones.
Yeah, but who is that?
Who's that?
All of the lovely Video Gamer listeners.
I'll tell you what, Scammell, you're not my Secret Santa, so I'm not buying you anything.
We do have an office Secret Santa.
Yeah, and I've just ruined the secret part of that.
I know who I've got.
Well, I presumably, yes.
And
You do.
And it's going to be great.
Okay, good. Well, I feel like...
I know who I've got as well. And
yes, I know. Guys,
this is sort of a thing that
you're supposed to know who you've got.
It's a component of the Secret Santa that you know who you're buying things
It's not
from.
a surprise.
It's gonna be magic.
Okay, good.
It's either going to be magic or there's going to be a lawsuit after it. if we had a HR department, they'd be involved.
Well, I look forward to that.
I think I'm the HR department.
You're not.
Yeah, definitely not.
Oh. I'm disappointed.
Okay, I'm desperately trying to make someone talk about a video game.
Well, let's talk about video
It's
games.
Steve
Come
the
on.
HR
We played the Crew a lot.
We've been playing the Crew, but
Oh god, that excitement already! I'm glad I shifted topics.
Because Dave is really down on the Crew, even though he's played it for hundreds of hours.
Davey Downer.
I haven't played it for hundreds of hours.
I'm reviewing the Crew, yeah, and you may have seen impressions up on the website. Dave isn't reviewing the Crew. Has no reason to play the Crew other than
To argue with you.
just-
I'm a lover of video games.
and he has finished it before me.
Yeah.
This is a
Nerd.
game that is quite big. He says it.
Do you know what I
isn't,
did
but
over
it
the
is.
weekend? I dicked on the Crew. That's
Nice.
what I did.
Good, well done.
I dominated that video
Stop
game.
it. Okay, Tom, carry on, please.
Yeah, so I quite like the Crew.
Yep. Well, so why has the review not gone up yet?
Because
I want to talk about.
Why have you not done your job,
That's
Mr.
not
Bossman?
exactly what I was saying. I was leading into talking about the multiplayer
It's because we didn't get it until it was out, more or less, or the day before, I think, or something, and B, it's quite large
Right, fair enough.
and sort of an MMO, but not really.
Is anyone?
It's not an MMO at all.
We're still confirming that it's.
I'm confirming right now
I
it's
don't
not an
think
MMO.
it's not
It's
MMO.
basically an MMO in the same way that Call of Duty is an MMO.
Okay. Okay.
I'll tell you why it fails as an MMO. One, it's easier and better to play on your own.
Right.
Two, there is no MMO structure to it whatsoever.
The problem is that there's no...
Please see number one of my points about why
an
it's not
MMO would usually have, like, for example, you'd all have different classes, you get together and you all have your own role and things
There's an
like that.
incentive to work together.
And
yeah.
this does not have that because you're all just driving cars around. And to do an event, you have to be the same because the events are set up per class of car. So you couldn't join it if you weren't sort of like the circuit car. It's made for those type of cars.
I just expected it. So you drive up to an event and suddenly it's almost like an instance type thing where you're thrown in with a load of other...
It does try and
players.
do that, but
But
I
it
don't think enough
doesn't
people
really,
are playing
though, does it?
to work
You
as
have-
well as it could do.
It doesn't though. I never had
Well,
that.
you can instantly play with people in your session, can't you?
Yeah, but no one wants to because they're all doing their own
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it's not a game that doesn't feel like it's got these PvP zones, which are just multiplayer racing, and it's got so that isn't really an MMO either. That's just
PvP zones
I'd like to
generally in
discuss this a bit
MMOs is like where you go to kill each other.
It's not a PvP zone. It's an icon. Then you go into a lobby.
Yeah.
And it's horrifically unbalanced. I was there and I'd finished the game, and my car at the time was about level 800, and I was racing against like level 100 cars, and I was getting like a 1.5 mile lead on them. And I'm like, well,
That doesn't sound very fun.
this is shit. Like, they must be hating. I mean, I'm loving it because I'm getting all the dollar. But they must be sitting there going, "Why am I bothering?"
It's got this whole faction thing, so you can join a faction. There's 5 of them, I think, in the end. Once you unlock them all.
It sounds like they've just.
And so that's like the map is split into 5 zones. You can pick one of them. I just stick with the first one because if you change, you lose all your faction points.
Do you?
Yeah. So you have to start again. So the idea is if you build up by doing faction events, which are kind of separate to the story, you can build up your reputation, and then you earn like a paycheck each day based on how well you are represented in the game.
Okay.
But the problem is that it doesn't really. There's no other than like a little bit of money. It doesn't feel like anyone is competing together.
It's not like the Horde versus the Alliance.
There's no sense of like factions fighting each other and stuff.
That's
even though it's there and you can sort of see it on the map when you sort of turn the game on, it kind of gives you an update if you go to that section on the main screen. But there's no sense of like there's no competition because you don't care.
Like, why would you ever switch faction? If you're going to lose all your stuff, why would you not stick to the original faction that you're in, that everyone else is
like their
in?
icon more? I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if I've just missed something because it feels like there should be more.
I think the developers missed something
of an incentive because playing it on my own, I enjoy it, and I do want to keep playing it and level up and get new cars and level up my car and all this kind of stuff. And there is a good hook to keep you playing, I think. And I don't like the handling. Once you get past the initial cars, which are the initial car, which is a bit rubbish, you have to upgrade it basically so that it becomes something worth driving. It's quite fun. I quite like the handling. It's arcadey. It feels a bit like an old Need for Speed kind of open world game.
Sure.
But there's no. I don't see why I would play it with other people because it doesn't give me enough incentive to do it.
I've got a question. If the MMO aspect of that game isn't quite as impressive as you thought it might be, are there not better racing games to play in a single player style?
There are. Well, the thing is,
every game that is like that game is better than that game.
But what other games are like it though?
Burnout, Burnout,
I know,
Test Drive.
Burnout Paradise was a long time ago. This I think has a better hook to keep you playing than all those other games.
Nah,
it's not as
fun.
good a game, but it has like the leveling aspect and the constant progression of your own level, your car level and stuff is like it is quite sort of. I want to keep going. I want to get to the next bit. I want to get the next part, etc. And the size of it is impressive. Like the map is huge, and no other racing game, has that size map.
Sure.
And as much as it looks a bit ropey in places, the scale of it and like the variation in it is unlike anything else I've played in a racing game, and that does add something.
The scale is impressive. Yeah. I'll give them that. The scale and the world.
Have you been to visit E3 again?
I've seen it, but
visually it is not. And I think sometimes it can look a bit flat. Like I don't think the cities like you'd expect like massive skyscrapers and things like that. And I think the vistas aren't so particularly impressive. The scale of it though,
it has some nice
good.
touches. Like you go through like a swampy area and like birds are flying up over the water level and stuff, and it all looks kind of like they add little touches on those animals that, although it's repeated animation, these animals run across you as you're driving along, run across the road and stuff.
But none of them really feel like big areas, like cities don't feel like cities. They just feel like areas you're passing through. They just feel like tiny little locations really, rather than I'm in New York, I'm in San Francisco. It doesn't really feel like that. It's like, you're going up the San Francisco hills. It's just a tiny like 100-meter road. Well, no, that's exaggeration. They're bigger than that. But it's a small road. And really, it's just like, that's the main part of San Francisco. That's like the big.
You get a small sense that you're in these locations.
Exactly, that's right.
They're not full recreations of each of these big cities.
And they're never going to be, of course. But
the overall package is still impressive in terms of the size of it. Like, you can just drive for miles and miles. Like, there's bits where you drive, if you haven't unlocked the area or gone to the area before, and there's an event that you have to drive there first to unlock that for fast travel, essentially.
Sure.
So you might sort of put the GPS on it, says it's like 40 kilometers away and stuff, and that is like it's a big world. Like you drive there, and even if you cut across, because you can go off road like up a mountainside or whatever, it's still a big game. It takes a long time to get to these places. I mean, I do like it as much as it is a bit broken and clearly not the online multiplayer MMO type experience that they sort of said it might be or is. I enjoy playing it. I don't know whether that means it's a good game, but I am enjoying it, and I think lots of people would get something out of it, even though it isn't the game that it could have been.
Sure. Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I sometimes feel a bit weird about that though. The idea that you're enjoying the progression of it, but every so often you ask whether or not you actually think it's a good game.
I mean, I like the game, the handling and everything else. I like the stuff that's rubbish. Like the storyline is appalling.
Oh, yeah. Can you walk us through that? Because
there's a scene, Dave. I'm not sure you remember it.
The whole thing is terrible.
The guy is in a diner, and you're just about to meet this new character.
I remember this scene.
And his phone goes off in the diner. Yeah, because this woman's a hacker. She's her lines are awful in this. And all the women in it are so sexualized, it's unbelievable.
Really?
Like when she walks in, he basically looks at her ass and follows her down the.
It does. That is the cutscene, by the way.
And but his phone goes off, and the reaction to this is that he throws everything off his table onto the floor. He just smashes it all because he's so surprised that his phone has gone off. He goes, "Oh!" Just loses the plot and smashes all this stuff on his table. And it's like, what? I don't quite understand what's going on. Like the story is awful.
They're obsessed with killing people as well.
And like everyone,
what?
I just never saw that
driving game.
Yeah, it's because it's all meant to be about this gang, but the problem is that it feels like the softest and hardest gang in the world at the same time, because you're never doing anything. Like often you're like, it's a bit like the Hunger Games in that it's got hard, it feels like it should be hard, but based on the film anyway, the first one, I've only seen the first one, every hard decision she'd have to make, she gets away with because someone else does it. And in this, like, he's been told to kill someone, he says, I won't kill him, I'll just kind of knock him off the road and someone will just make him hide for a while. And it's like, not really, like, it doesn't feel like a hard gang thing.
Yeah. It's a revenge game, basically.
Do they use guns, or is it?
No,
they kill each other with cars?
You never use a gun, and you never kill anyone.
So why is it?
I
don't get why it needs to. Why there has to be a crime story there? Like
because it's all about.
Because the kids love it, man.
It's so badly, like the whole thing is so badly thought out in terms of the plot. Like it's your brother gets killed, you're framed for it.
By
the
a car.
guy that's doing it all is like, and then you investigate him undercover, even though he somehow doesn't know who you are, even though you are the one that he set up.
But aren't all the objectives like races?
Yeah.
So
even
how do you
stuff that shouldn't
investigate
be a
someone
race
by
is a
racing?
race.
And
Like,
by the way, this is it's a minor spoiler, but really, like, just honestly, no one cares. By the end of the game, do they call them like V8s and V4s and V2s, and basically
that's your level.
That's your level, and so. The main guy is the V8. The bad guy is the V8,
is
right?
that Shiv or something?
Yeah, Shiv. He's the leader of the gang now.
Shiv sounds like
your brother was the old leader of the gang, by the way.
And Shiv killed your brother.
I knew it.
So you've got to work your way up the gang to get to Shiv and kill him, right?
By racing.
But you get to like his deputy level and you meet him and he still has no idea who you are. You walk up to him, he's like, "Oh, you're my deputy. You're the guy." It's like, surely, like... in this application process, there would be... you would at least have met the guy.
You hired me.
He had no idea who I was. I walked out with a gun to him. Who are you? I'm the guy who's been doing all your jobs. Oh.
And this guy...
Smashing.
The corrupt cop, Coburn, I think his name is, who set it all up originally, he, I don't know, by about towards the end, he becomes like one of the people that talks to you on the phone and stuff, and you do stuff for him. And he has no clue who you are. He has no clue that you're the one that he set up and sent to prison for murdering your brother. And it's like, what? How? I
don't understand.
I don't get it. And there's clearly something else going on now, like some kind of conspiracy.
No, there really isn't.
Is there not?
No.
Oh, well, it seemed like it was going to set up some kind of big twist.
There is no twist.
Maybe there isn't. But it's just the plot and everything else and how they kind of build the plot into some of the missions is just bad. And they make lots of stuff that shouldn't really be an event into an event. Like, you have to take people to places, and for no reason whatsoever, this is timed, so you have to do it in a certain time. It's like, no, there's no pressure on this at all. But I've got to do it within like 90 seconds or I fail. I mean, lots of it is so easy you wouldn't fail.
God, honestly, this
Go
is
around
the
and
only...
hitting the boxes.
This is the only thing that you've said so far that makes me really want to play The Crew, is to experience this.
There's one mission where...
I love shitty crime stories.
In fact, there's loads of missions like this because they're all the same. But you have to go around and smash up boxes. And the objective is you have to find the right box with this item in it, right? But it says...
You do this in your car, right?
Yeah. And it just says, just smash 80 of the 100 boxes and then you've won. It's like, but the idea is I'm meant to find the right one. I'm just going around smashing them all like...
Oh, God. I love it.
Hit 80, you found the right one.
Nice.
Magic. Great.
There's also a bit where you pick up this thing from this big cargo container to take somewhere, and you assume, because it's in this massive container, like a thing on like a cargo ship, and I
don't remember this.
And then he just goes in it, and then whatever it is so small, it just sits in his car, and he's apparently was stored in this cargo container to avoid suspicion. Yet it was so small, they could have just put it somewhere a lot less suspicious than a massive cargo container in the middle of nowhere. Like, wonder why that's there, to hide this.
Do you think, like, I don't know, it sounds like this story was never made for a racing game.
But this
like,
is the
just
thing,
kind of
like,
freaked out. And...
I never expected there to be a story in this
Not
game.
like
When they
this.
first announced it, like, Burnout doesn't have a story.
No.
I just thought it'd be like that. Go online with your mate. I mean, Test Drive did Test Drive 2 try and do some story?
But Test Drive basically was just you drive around and do stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and it, in a way, had more MMO type elements than this does, because you could have like clubhouses and stuff, and it felt more like you were part of a world and other people could be part of it with you. And this doesn't seem to have that.
Honestly, I feel like they've stuck the MMO thing on there so they can get away with it being a permanent internet connection.
Right.
It does. The only thing about it that's MMO-like, really, is that your save is on the cloud.
There is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be able to play that game offline. It's a sort of a SimCity scenario where you can play through the whole thing like I did in single player. And it happened to me where I did a couple of races and it was like, server connection's been lost. And it chucked me back like 2 or 3 races worth of progress. I was like, this is bollocks. Like, I'm not even playing it online. There's no point to this. And I was just... It's just shite when that happens.
But at the same time, I still quite like it.
I can't work out why. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be after the beta. I'll give it that.
The problem with the beta is that it's just like the opening car. And the opening cars, because they upgrade in terms of parts, and when you level up, often you get an extra boost to all of them and stuff, that they handle and perform much better later on. So in the beginning, you're being hampered by the fact you have a rubbish car that handles badly, performs badly, etc. So it becomes a lot better once you've improved all that stuff. But
I stuck with that car the whole way through, though.
Yeah,
I never bought a single car up until the end.
I bought a few, but
obviously you upgrade the performance parts and all that, and the new types, the dirt and circuit and all that. But same car. Then at the end, though, well, you can do this whenever, I think. But you could. So all the cars are really expensive, and you don't actually earn a lot of money from winning races in the story.
Well, this is why the faction thing's meant to come in.
Yeah, you earn money from factions and PvP stuff.
Yeah.
But
everything about that game PvP? Surely you'd be racing against other people.
You're racing against AI in the story.
But you can choose often, like some of them, you could go play it with other people.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do it at pretty much any event, but
there are
there's not
specific ones
any
that have
real
to be.
incentive to do that, because often it just either makes the objectives a bit more so that because there's more people to do it, or it's just like that crate one, for example. If you're doing it with someone else, the amount of crates you have to get increases. So if the other person isn't particularly doing that well, you're being hampered by them being rubbish.
But obviously, like the currency is there to sort of balance it out, make sure there's not people driving around really fast cars and all that. But one of the Uplay rewards, which is Ubisoft's sort of unlockable thing for fulfilling objectives in all of their games, one of them is for a really fast Dodge Viper. I think it's a Dodge Viper. And I unlocked it, and suddenly it's like, this car must be worth a lot of money, like credits-wise. But you can't buy it through credits. You can only buy it through Uplay. Not for real money, by the way. And I unlocked it, and suddenly it's like, well, I'm just going to win everything now, and I haven't even spent any of the in-game money, like any of the currency that I've earned. And it's like, I've got all this cash and a car that I'm never, ever going to need to replace. So I upgraded it by winning a load of skill stuff, because it can just dominate those challenges now. And it's like I'm sitting at like a level 1100 on this car. The max level is like 1299. And every race that I'm going in, it's not even a challenge anymore. Like, and that's just an unlockable.
I tend to like in games that have like a sense of progression, even if it's just like acquiring new gear for an RPG or whatever. I hate when there's some kind of outside element that gets involved. Like I'm not a fan of pre-order bonuses that give armor, because part of the fun of it is you'll do a mission and get something new and you'll be like, yes, now I can equip this. When you start off with like something that trumps everything else,
you don't start. It's not a pre-order bonus.
You don't have to do it. I mean, I haven't got this car, and possibly
it's like 100 Uplay points
because I haven't.
So it is,
and you should earn 100 Uplay points by doing the story pretty quick, really. Okay. But yeah, the fact that it's there, it's just like, well, you know what I mean? It's just like essentially a free gift, because you earn those points in the game anyway, and it kind of dominates everything. But yeah, it has 2 level caps. It has a car level cap and a player level cap. And I'd hit the player level cap way before I'd finished the story. And so I wasn't earning any experience for anything, because you don't earn experience on your car, do you? You only earn experience by upgrading the parts.
Yeah, the car experience is all to do with, the car level is all to do with the parts.
Yeah.
And leveling up your player level does often, if you get to like every 3 or 4 levels.
That's right.
It is, you level up all your cars to like by 30 points, whatever.
Yeah. So I'd hit level 50 like loads of missions before the final mission. It's like, well,
this is so weird. It just sounds like they've looked at a checklist of things that make an MMO.
You've even got perks. You've got perks as well, which you earn, and then you can apply them to each character in the game that you work with. Has their own set of perks that you can upgrade. You can like use your perk points to get bonuses.
It's like a talent build or whatever.
So it's like XP bonuses and braking bonuses and acceleration bonuses, nitro bonuses, reductions from stores, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot to it, but
I finished it. I don't feel like there's nothing to go back to now. I know there's faction stuff, like that's the end game stuff, really, from what I've read.
As far as I know, like the base end game stuff is just PvP, and they've got these like platinum upgrades and stuff that you can get if you're like really good and stuff. But
it's just like going back and doing the same challenges, just getting a better score in a faster car. It's like, well,
I don't think I think it's gonna. I'll probably finish it and then that'll be it. But I do quite like.
That's the thing. If they had described it as an MMO, I'd have been like, fine, yeah, whatever. You know, it's a racing game, done it. But it's like you've got this idea that it's going to be a game that's going to be there for a long time, that they're going to build upon, and it's like, well, I don't really feel that right now.
I think they probably are, but
well, they will do, obviously.
I don't know how that's going to like if it's going to bring you back or not. I doubt it.
I don't know.
The crew.
But yeah, I just kind of feel a bit. It's well buggy, super buggy.
There's a lot of there's a lot of cutscenes, well, kind of post race scenes where that's all in engine, and like I've definitely seen a few times where other cars have been like going back like upside down across the road, and it's quite amusing when you see like he's like there on his phone talking to whoever it was that's out of the race, and then in the background
still freaking out about
there's a car going up on its roof across the ground and stuff. It's like, but somehow I don't really care. It's like it is broken, but I still think it's fun.
I would recommend the other two big racers over the crew. Definitely.
It's Assassin's car.
It's a different type of.
It is different.
Different type of racer, and it is fun. But when it's like it's gonna drop in price very quickly, I assume. I think if you like big racing games and you quite like stuff where you level up all the time, it'll be worth. I think it's worth a go. Probably when it's like 20 quid. Give it a go.
It feels like a low budget racer that was given a big budget by a publisher. Do you know what I mean by that? It kind of feels a bit.
Yeah. They've clearly spent a lot. The world, the way, the fact that it's so big, and they put a lot of detail into it. Like even though it's so big, there's not much like. It doesn't feel like they're repeating stuff that much. There's a lot of variety in it, and they've clearly spent a lot of time building it, and then not as much time or not enough time, like fine tuning it, and because it performs badly, it's quite ropey looking, but it's just massive.
I think Ubi's lucky there wasn't a Need for Speed this year, definitely.
Yeah,
but just one of those. I don't know how it will compete with the stuff that's already there. Really, I don't know how going forward whether there's space for it. It should have come out and should have been this big online experience, and I don't think it is. So.
All right, fair enough. That's the crew. It sounds.
I hate the name as well.
I'm gonna just go watch the cutscenes. I think, and that'll probably do me. That'll be good.
You're gonna hate him.
Yeah,
it's Troy Baker as well as the main character, and
of course it fucking is.
And all the gang members, they're like the worst voice acting.
Yeah, you're saying this as a bad thing, but this is exactly what I want to hear.
Like, I've come off watching The Shield, just all about gangs, basically. Yeah. And this is like the least authentic feeling gang thing ever. It's like it's like with gangs for like a children's TV show or something. Yeah. It's just
that's kind of what they did with Driver though, the last one, San Francisco.
Yeah,
it's that same.
It does have a similar feel to that. I know Reflections were involved; they're not the main team, are they? But it has that. I mean, the cutscenes in particular have a very similar feel to that game. It's not as good, I don't think, as Driver was. Like Driver had more gimmicks that worked, and it was a better game overall. But this has.
Well, I think it says a lot that a big part of your conversation has been things that the crew doesn't include that you thought it would, rather than cool new ideas that it's pushing. So. I don't know. Yeah, all right. Okay, well...
It'll have its fans, but...
It's got plenty of them.
Doesn't really do it for me.
It's got quite the defence force.
I say it doesn't really do it for me. I stuck out and I finished it.
Yeah, but
I don't know why I did.
To be honest, Gamal, that doesn't say a lot for me.
I finished Megamind Ultimate Showdown.
Yeah.
So...
You're just a bad person. All right, fair enough.
Chivos, mate.
Yep. I haven't really played an awful lot this week, although I do want to quickly mention one game called Chaos Reborn that came into early access.
Let me guess.
Yesterday. It's from
turn-based.
It's turn-based. It's tactical. It's
like
from
XCOM.
It's from Julian Gollop, the creator of XCOM, the original creator of XCOM. Guy's got he's got a strategy mind. And Chaos Reborn is, actually kind of a reboot of a game he released in 1985 called Chaos: The Battle of Wizards. I think, is that right? Yeah, Chaos: The Battle of Wizards, 1985 on Spectrum. I want to make sure I didn't get the subtitle wrong because I just call it Chaos. And I never actually played that because I never had a Spectrum and I wasn't born when it came out. However, I'd unwittingly been playing a fan remake of that game.
Unwittingly, were you?
Yeah, called Cyber Wars.
And in your sleep.
No, as in I was playing it without realizing it was a remake. I, of course, played the game intentionally. It was a Java game that, I just played online and enjoyed it, but didn't realize that it was a remake of a very famous tactical game called Chaos. And so I've got a weird sense of nostalgia playing this Chaos Reborn, even though I didn't actually play the original. And it's a lot of fun. The general idea is that each player controls, it's largely multiplayer, each player controls a wizard, and you, each turn...
You're a wizard, Harry.
You summon a creature, and there's a percentage to whether or not that summon will be successful, so there's some risk involved if you want to go for one of the more powerful creatures. But you can, instead of casting or summoning a creature properly, you can summon an illusion of that creature, which does exactly the same amount of damage and acts exactly the same as that creature would. But if the other player believes that you've created an illusion, they've got a spell that can get rid of it immediately without costing them anything. So
what happens if they use it and it's not an illusion?
If you use it on an illusion, that you get to cast another spell after that. You get to summon something yourself. However, if you use it and it isn't, you've just wasted your turn in terms of summoning things. So there's this kind of weird gambling element to it. And it's just an extremely smart strategy game. It's very, very straightforward. The games usually last a couple of minutes if you're playing just two players. And yeah, I'm having loads of fun with it.
We'll have to play it, Bratters. You and me. I'm good with these strategy games.
So it's in early access at the moment, and it's very bare bones. There's going to be a kind of a single player campaign and like a kind of a progression system involved. None of that's really there yet. It's basically a 3D prettier version of that Spectrum game. So if you are purchasing it now, it is very much early access.
What are your thoughts these days on this early access stuff? Has it changed since we last spoke about it?
I don't know. I tend to... It depends on how open the developer is being about where they're at, what their plans are, and what they're doing. I think the best example I tend to go with are people like Vlambeer or Introversion with Prison Architect. The kind of developers that talk an awful lot about what they're doing, what their updates are. Mm-hmm. You know when the updates are coming. They're very regular. They both Vlambeer and Introversion like do kind of video updates explaining what's going on and where they're up to. Their Twitter feeds are full of information. The ones that are a bit of a problem are when you buy into this early access and you've got no idea when the next big change is coming, when the final release is coming, or indeed if that is ever going to happen, which is a case with some of them.
Well, yeah. See, I'm starting to wonder about.
I think it's a trust issue. You've got to, it's similar to like Kickstarter and crowdfunding projects. It's not just the game you've got to think about; it's the person behind it or the people behind it.
That's the thing, right? So Dean Hall has left Bohemia. Mm-hmm. He's started his own studio, so presumably he's left DayZ behind as well, which he made quite clear earlier in the year. He said he was going to leave. But those people that bought that game, they obviously bought into it thinking it was going to turn out a certain way.
Yeah.
Now that he's left, presumably it's not 100% guaranteed that it will turn out the way that he had envisioned it might do.
Sure.
Is that not an issue when it comes to early access games, when the creator has left that product behind before it's finished?
It's a bit of a strange one, isn't it? I'm not entirely sure what that relationship is. Whether
obviously,
or not he's got
Bohemia
any kind
bought it, right? I think.
Yeah.
So that changes it slightly.
I don't know since he's left if there's going to be any kind of overseeing from him or whatever.
I don't know either.
Yeah, but it's a little bit weird, isn't it? I think, if you bought it thinking I want the next Dean Hall game, then he leaves. Then sure, it sucks. And I don't
know what I think about it. It's just it's a new thing, and I'm sort of not sure. I mean, I've never really liked the idea of people paying money for a game that's not finished, essentially. Yeah. Especially when it's like 20 quid or whatever DayZ is. It's around that.
And
figure,
I mean,
I think.
It's always a gamble, though, isn't it? I mean,
extremely well.
I think it depends entirely. I mean, as you were indicating, it depends entirely on the calendar of the developer, really.
Yeah. People would argue that Assassin's Creed Unity wasn't finished. Do you know what I mean? And you know, I get it, but
yeah, it's odd. And DayZ was held like the top position on Steam in terms of sales for weeks after it launched in early access. It's done very, very well. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard to say. I don't really know I haven't seen a hugely negative reaction to the news that he's leaving. But
I don't want to call that out as a particular sort of.
I don't really follow that community that closely. It's
just want as a whole. If that was to happen, so is that an issue
with
really?
Julian Gollop? If Julian Gollop sold Chaos Reborn onto someone and then left, I'd be really disappointed because I very much think of this as being his game, his vision. He's obviously the creator of it originally. Without him, I don't want to purchase it. Like a big part of it is that name associated with it. So I think it is a gamble every time. You've got to really think about who that developer is and how what kind of communication they're going to have throughout. Same with Kickstarter. Like these projects that achieve their Kickstarter goals and then go silent. That worries me. Like
it's kind of like Bratters when our fans got into our channel and stuff, and then we replaced Matt Nellis with you.
That was disappointing.
And they were like, "Well, I got into this because of Matt Nellis."
Yep.
And then who's this guy?
Fuck this guy. It's a lot like that. Yeah. I can understand that disappointment. I miss Matt Nellis. Never really knew him.
You didn't work with him?
He seemed like a nice chap. I like him. Chaos Reborn.
I follow him on Twitter. He seems all right. I was going to say, I think the best way to experience Chaos Reborn is to, if anyone listening gets the opportunity to do so, I really recommend it, is to sit next to Chris Pratt when he's playing it. Because some of the chat he was coming out with was incredible. Every time he played with somebody, he would give them a lot of sort of chest puffed out chat on the little chat window. If they cast a spell on him that didn't work, he'd be like, "Ha ha ha! Not today, sunshine."
Yeah, well, the thing is, that's part of the strategy, right? I do this when I play people on FIFA. Like I think Tom hates playing FIFA with me as a result because
you commentate the whole thing.
You get in their mind, and then suddenly they're frustrated, and the frustration kind of overrules their more sensible decisions.
Watching him type sunshine and then chuckling to himself for about 10 minutes. What was it? The guy yesterday you were playing against who had a username with Oak.
The Mighty Oaks.
The Mighty Oaks. And he told the guy, a couple of minutes into the match, just to let you know, if I win, I'm going to shout timber. Because...
Braz, what is wrong with you?
As though I have felled an oak. Do you see where I'm going with it? And of course he won, the little shitbag. And he typed timber. And I don't think this guy responded to you at all. Just this string of messages of you going, "Not today, sunshine, timber."
I will say, though, excluding myself, the community on that game seems really nice. I think maybe just because it's just started off. And
I bet they all think you're a dick. I bet there's a forum out there somewhere. Have you played this Bratters knob end?
Yeah, but it's...
Big Lover.
I love how everyone...
He wasn't Big Lover because he was on Tom's Steam account.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, I don't think I'll get away with that."
Everyone's very friendly on there. It seems like a nice little community around that game.
It does, actually, because they were all being very, very, very polite to you, even though you were being a total dick. He started, right... There was this one match that started, and the name of the person looked vaguely Scandinavian. So he went on to Google Translate and looked up how to type "you're going home in a plastic bag, mate" in Swedish.
Did you really?
Yeah.
The dark side
and the guy came back and he was like, "You've been using Google Translate."
Yeah, but we then after that we built up a bit of a rapport. I
the rapport was basically he thought you were a bellend, but he was being polite about it.
Still won that game.
It was fun though. I have to say, I was very, very entertained by that. But if you can play, if you can just sit next to Chris when he's playing.
Yeah.
Or maybe you've got a local bellend who could play it for you.
I mean,
I'm sure there's many permutations of this. But it did look very good though. I was getting right into it, and I was like, watching you play it, and I was like. The trees you were putting up as barriers and all the bluffing stuff that was going on. And
I think that I just love the illusion mechanic. I think it's really
the sheer tension when you cast an illusion as to whether or not they're going to call your bluff.
Because they usually call it on the next turn.
That was pretty spectacular.
So
lots of good ideas in it.
I will say, so we did cover this briefly when I think they released a kind of demo for Chaos Reborn, maybe as the Kickstarter launched actually, and it was, you know, graphically it was really, really, really bare bones. It was just kind of you know, demonstrating how the game works, but it looked pretty ugly. So if you were turned off by that, then, you know, one of the big changes as it's gone into early access is it looks pretty. Like, it still kept the kind
really
of
nice now.
It's got a very strong color scheme for each creature, which is
and it's all very luscious sort of greens and foliage and
yeah. But nice. If you saw that original video we did and thought, oh, this looks a bit fucking ugly, then that's been remedied. You should maybe give it a look. Jim, what have you been playing, man?
Dragon Age. Nothing but I've been getting stuck into Dragon Age. I was stuck into Far Cry 4 before that, stuck into GTA, and then
there's some big games to get stuck into.
And then Dragon Age came into my life, and I had a very similar experience. Because I remember you telling me that it's like, I remember at first you weren't really on board with it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe felt it was a little bit disappointing compared to Origins. And,
yep. It's like a lot of it was to do with the hinterlands when you first arrived in that big area.
Yeah, there's been this thing like with the hinterlands are the first area that you properly go into, the first big open area, and probably the biggest in the game actually. And it's got a hint of the kind of that Ubisoft. There's 20 million map markers and all indicating things to do of various quality. And you kind of do have to do a lot in there before you can, because you have to earn this like
the power
expendable resource called power to unlock other missions and stuff.
Just you need to level up so you're an appropriate level.
Yeah,
to do the
absolutely,
campaign as well.
So it's a bit mental. So up until the bit in the game where all the shit hits all the fans.
We've talked about this quite a few times, but we keep calling it that moment. Like, we can't. But
before I got to it, you kept saying to me, "Oh yeah, you'll know it when it happens." And fucking hell, yes, I did know it when it happened.
Proper BioWare.
Yeah. So it's like
House of Cards.
Possibly, yeah. But although House of Cards is fucking great from the beginning, to be honest.
It's got this definite watershed moment where it goes from being a bit of a sort of mediocre RPG and then turns into holy shit, this is incredible.
I'm glad you think the same.
And I think honestly, getting really excited playing it. I'm probably about 23 hours in now, I think, according to my save. And
you only started playing it about 2 days ago.
I know, I've been ploughing into it, I really have. But I think it's actually made me really excited just for BioWare in general, because it felt like with I actually liked Mass Effect 3 a lot.
I did.
Like, it rounded off that trilogy. I thought that was the best series of that gen. Despite the last 20 minutes, the ending was a little bit disappointing. But that conversation's been had. Yeah, but I love that entire trilogy, whatever. And then, but they had a lot of kickback from that. And then they had Dragon Age 2 was. Dragon Age 2 was shite, let's face it.
I don't know that it was like, I don't think it was.
It wasn't like
awful. It was just very, very different
awful,
to Origins.
It was
missed out on a lot.
It had no scale. It just didn't feel like it had very much ambition. It's like they went.
Which is a shame,
we've made a city with some houses.
Some of the characters within that story are really good. They are trapped in
Varric is like the main companion in Dragon Age 2.
Oh, they knew they'd made the right call with
He's
Varric,
also the main in Dragon Age Inquisition, and he's brilliant. Yeah. But there was a sense that BioWare were maybe really losing their touch. But I mean, Inquisition, it's very similar to the whole Mass Effect Dragon Age, KOTOR formula that they've had established for such a long time. But it really expands on that, and it's very different now. Yeah. And it's a lot more modern. And if this is any indicator of the direction they're taking Mass Effect in with Mass Effect 4, it's very exciting.
Well, there's like we'll talk about this at a later time, but there are very strong hints that there will be future Dragon Age games as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Obviously,
but if this is the new BioWare template. Then that's very exciting. That's very, very, very good.
Who are you playing as? Did you go with the Qunari in the end?
I went with the Qunari warrior woman.
Is it doing any interesting stuff? Because I only played the
it really is. That game. There's some very Qunari specific stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
The way people are I've had to tell some people off for calling me an ox.
That is
and I have to basically take them to the side and go, that's actually not cool what you said. And I'm very upset with you.
That's good.
And they go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I've just never met one of you before." And you're like,
one of me.
There you go again.
Stop
just
it.
fucking
Jesus.
sit down.
Yeah, because I remember during the
just kill him.
That's exactly what they expect you to do, though. They think the Qunari are these kind of rage-filled
That's the thing.
beasts.
Don't
You
stop.
got
Don't
to
stop
prove
it.
them
I
wrong.
tell you
what
what,
you
I was told the Iron Built to sling his fucking hook as well.
You're talking
Tried it on with me.
You're talking
and I
about
was
my
like,
romance option there. Thank you
tried
very
it on
much.
with me, and I was like, "On your bike, sunshine."
Have you met the Chargers though? His
Yeah, they're quite
companions?
cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
So have you seen Crumb as well? Is it Crumb or Creme?
Creme,
Creme, yeah. So there's a really cool blog post that one of the lead writers wrote on. I think it's just on the BioWare site about how his first transgender character in a BioWare game, and one of the first transgender characters in any major big budget video game, as far as I'm aware. And the way they approach that sounds really cool. If you're interested in character design or game design in general,
I've not got to the bit in the game where you discuss it or anything.
He's a brilliant character. Yes, we're really good.
As far as I'm aware, it's it is, from what I've read, it's handled really well.
Yeah.
And in that, it's not made into a huge thing. It's just like, if you choose to ask the Iron Bull about it, it's like, I don't know, it's not a thing.
Well, when they mentioned that blog post again, they apparently in some of the first drafts, they didn't introduce it in the same way, and it was more of an obvious thing, and they ended up realizing that wasn't the best way to approach a topic like that. So I don't know. I was just really impressed with the thought process behind it. To be honest.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I'm really, really happy with it. And it did take a little while to get to that point, to get properly back into it. But it's just such a turnaround from Dragon Age 2. It really is. I mean, I remember a lot of people saying if Inquisition doesn't nail it, that series is done. But
I think
they have really nailed it. Again, little bit of a slow start, which probably doesn't help it much. But I think anyone anyone who buys that game is prepared to put in a few hours before it really opens up. So it's really cool, and it's amazing, like the difference in the locales as well. Like, because every area feels very different. Every region is like, you've got your the hinterland, which is very much a sort of fable kind of very European medieval fantasy land. And you've got your dark woods, your storm coast.
I actually think so they've split the areas into, like, you can't walk across the border from one area to another. You have to go back to the map and kind of transport to another area. I think an advantage of that is that they can have these areas be very extremely different to each other, because they haven't got to worry. I think actually, didn't we see this in The Crew when you're driving through like the northern parts of America, and you'll just suddenly hit a snowy area, and it's like that.
Yep. Yeah. Grass turns into snow.
Yeah, that's weird. And
I believe from the Crew road trip video, it's the bit where Dave goes, "Are we in Alaska?"
Were we not?
No.
That was a weird video.
That was a good video. I had fun doing that. We should do another one.
I think that's the best thing that's ever come out of The Crew.
Crew on tour, road trip.
Stop.
The way they've done it, where they've got like a lot of little open worlds representing different regions on a much larger map. It's got a scale to it, like a narrative scale, that feels a lot bigger than something like Skyrim. As much as I love Skyrim, and that world is enormous, it is a lot more samey than Dragon Age is, because at one end of the world in Dragon Age it's desert, like proper arid desert, nothing growing in it, and then and then there's the capital city of Orlais, which is basically Dragon Age's equivalent of France.
Have you done the Orlais story mission yet?
I've done a few of the Orlais story missions.
There's one where you go to the court specifically.
I actually started that. That's the last thing.
That is an awful lot of fun. I like that a lot.
That's not the end of the game, though, right?
No. It's a long game.
No, but it's incredible as well, how like that architecture as well, how it really nails being a sort of parody of, not a parody, but a sort of version of France, because it's got all that
not quite a parody.
Well, that grand...
Well, some of the costumes.
Yeah. But it's got that kind of grand sort of architectural willy waving that you see in Paris a lot. That's what it is. It really nails it, and you start to get a sense of, through the lore, and because you've got people from other regions in the world now, because there's the two countries you get to visit in Inquisition are Orlais and Ferelden.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, there's other nations like Tevinter. There's I was going to say Akavir, but that's Elder Scrolls.
You've got the Free Marshes as well,
with like, the Free Marshes, all
that,
that,
everything from Dragon Age 2.
and you get a real sense of all these different sort of competing nations, some bigger than others.
What part of the turning point for me is when the Inquisition goes from being this kind of response to demons actually falling out of the sky to it becomes a political power, and that moment really triggers, like, really establishes the Inquisition as
so I mean that initial threat, that initial threat, which you think is going to be the entire game, is not the entire game, and that's not to spoil it, but you know, it's very surprising how that almost turns out to be that's like the assassination of that triggers the First World War. You know, by the end of the First World War, the political situation that caused what triggered it are two completely different things and completely alien situations.
It's something they talk about throughout the campaign as well, which you rarely get in like world-ending, you need to save everyone and everything, please, like RPGs. They talk about, once we finish with these demons, the Inquisition, what's its role going to be? Like, they ask you as the leader, like, what are you going to do after this once you've saved the world? Rarely a question that you answer in stories like that. You don't usually look past the giant demon.
Inquisition's almost about that. Not quite. Not quite, because it's just a case of when they think it's over, it is.
If they do a Dragon Age that follows it immediately, though, I have no idea how that works.
But it's really cool how it is almost like about sorting everything out after a huge crisis, a huge world-threatening crisis, because like in every other sort of major RPG, you stop the thing that's threatening to end the world, and then presumably everyone lives happily ever after. But this is kind of showing that there is no happily ever after, because it's showing like the aftermath of the fifth blight as well that you dealt with in the first game. In the first game, that was there's a blight happening, and the end of the game is we've stopped the blight.
Yeah, and
this shows you that like after the blight, everything was still fucked. And after you've sorted this out, everything's still gonna. It's almost like it's got a message of like there is no happy ever after. Everything is always going to be awful forever.
It's a nice message for an RPG,
and that's
uplifting Christmas.
Not my life.
For that reason, I think that's a good Christmas game. I was going to say,
we are. You can tell we're approaching the end of the podcast because Scammell's just injected his first little moment of him. I don't know, worrying about his future or his.
I was very happy earlier. I thought it's Christmas coming up.
And suddenly,
and now I just
during
realised
this podcast, you've gone downhill.
Well, Christmas will soon be over.
You can't think about life like that.
It's not even started yet, Dave.
You get Christmas Day. Christmas Day's great. Then it gets to about 4 o'clock and you're like, shit, what's happened to Christmas Day?
You just had it.
Well, no, but
Dave, you need to embrace Christmas as a period rather than a day.
No, I do.
It's the whole Christmas period.
Oh, it is. But there are the days after Christmas is just where you go and spend your money on things you get cheap.
Think back to last night when we were waiting for the X Factor guy and those two Heart FM DJs.
Those two what?
Heart FM.
I thought you said Arse FM.
I you know what? I'll go with that actually. And they shouted to the crowd, "Who's looking forward to Christmas?"
And no one said anything.
And it was a very half-hearted. See, you got to think about moments like that. That's what Christmas is.
What, Heart FM?
It's the
half-hearted sort of
half-hearted FM.
Oh God, that's even better. Yeah.
I thought they did an all right job considering what they had to work with.
It was awful. I hated every moment of it.
Right,
Shall I move on to some questions that we've had?
Is society getting over Christmas?
Nah.
I mean, there's been a good sort of few hundred years of it being like the focal point of the year. But it feels like in recent years, people have just been, fucking
It's all about Black Friday now. And queuing up for PS1, PlayStation.
Yeah.
That's what people care about anymore.
I know people who care way more about New Year than Christmas Day. Which I've never understood, because New Year for me has always just been like, I just want to sit in my house. But people for many years would drag me to parties with people.
One New Year's Eve, I once watched a fire slinger. Is that what you call them? The people that sling fire around and do fire displays.
Arsonists.
Do this next to my car. And I was like, I was in a very drunk state thinking, if that fire goes anywhere near my car.
You're in a drunk state? You bet.
On New Year's Eve, yeah. That's what happens sometimes.
You smashed and started a fight with a circus performer. Is that
oh, you face.
I thought, what a silly thing to do. There's lots of petrol around that area. Yeah. There you go. My car was in the middle of it.
Why was there lots of petrol around your car?
Oh, he's thinking.
There's lots of cars. There's a built-up area. Little cars.
You're in tanks, presumably.
You're flinging flames around. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, they were quite good. But I don't know why they were doing it.
Is anyone tempted this year to go down to the Thames for New Year's Eve and get interviewed by Fern Cotton or whoever it will be?
No,
I bet you will. Are you going to be around?
Can that be our next subscribe?
I might see if I can watch the traditional Edinburgh Hogmanay, because that's always
the traditional Edinburgh.
That's
Hogmanay.
Always terribly shite.
What's a Hogmanay?
Hogmanay. It's a Scottish.
You said the same word to me, but in an angry tone.
It's like what Scottish people call New Year, the Hogmanay celebration.
They'd have to have a fucking different word for it. Jesus.
See, to me, that's just a thing. I didn't realise I'd have to explain that.
Right,
but instead of Fern Cotton, we got Jackie Bird, who is another person you've ever heard of.
She's a news presenter.
Yeah, that's right. I've shown Brad pictures of her that I have in my wallet.
Okay, let's see. Hi guys, love your work. You totally missed a trick on the last podcast though.
Oh
shit. The best, or at least one of the best PlayStation games of all time was Twisted Metal 2.
Yes, I agree.
Feel bad for forgetting it, Patrick Denon.
You're absolutely right. No, it was great. It was really good.
Twisted Metal was the most overrated series of all time.
No, Twisted Metal 2 was amazing.
No. Fuck Twisted Metal.
No, you had the level with the who was the guy? Was it Axel? And he was the guy who just stood there and he had wheels attached to his arms and his legs.
Is that the one with the clowns and the cars?
Clowns and the cars, yeah. Twisted Metal 2 was great.
Is there a clown car in Twisted Metal?
There is, yeah.
Vigilante 8.
No, rubbish.
Yeah, much better than Twisted Metal.
No.
Yeah.
Vigilante.
The original Twisted Metal was not great. Twisted Metal 2, however.
Took them the sequel to really find
that was a very good game, and I agree with that person.
Almost as bad as Final Fantasy 7.
Are we really going to go here?
Jesus Christ.
We've done it now.
Do you want to upset any other PlayStation fans whilst we're here?
Probably.
There's loads being upset as we speak. So
in a queue.
Listen, the limited edition version of the PlayStation 4 is just great.
It might have been a massive brawl.
It's just great.
Should we look it up? Should we look up the hashtag? See what's going on? Live report.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, I'll look the hashtag up.
Alice Brown asks, what do you think of all the Amiibo stock drama? And so that'll be referring to the fact that 3 of the Amiibos are being discontinued after this current batch, which is...
don't care.
The Wii Fit Trainer, the Villager, and Marvin. Okay.
Marvin.
I'd just like to point out, he's not on the podcast right now, but Stephen Burns has added to that problem.
Well, Burns is only a small part of it. He's bought 3. James bought 20.
James bought 20 of these figures. Stealing them from the clutches of young children, no doubt, that wanted them for Christmas.
There's a guy on my Twitter earlier complaining about mercenary profiteering, he called it.
That's amazing.
It's a bit dramatic.
It's capitalism. It's
Amiibos,
fine.
just...
But yeah.
Who?
So if you feel a little bit... a little bit pissed off about that, maybe you were hoping to get your hands on one of these for Christmas and you're gonna have to buy them at an extortionate price. James Ari,
but
Steve Burns.
Nobody really wants Wii Fit Trainer, do they? Nobody goes, I really want Wii Fit Trainer. They only want it because it's part of a collection. It's not like
they've inflated demand for something people don't want.
Yeah,
and it's worked.
No one
tremendously
wants
well.
Well, yeah. That's what business is.
I don't know who he is, but he looks quite cool.
Is that
Fire Emblem, yeah.
So Fire Emblem has fans. I'm sure those fans are going like, I really want Marth. But
what about the Villager? The Villager from...
The Villager, I think possibly they have... That's the one I think they should have done more of.
Yeah.
Just going back to this PlayStation 94 shop.
Yep.
I feel like this person has missed out on something here.
That
they're going to live to regret.
Oh, dear.
Oh, God.
They say, at the PlayStation 94 shop, didn't manage to get a PS4 for £19.94.
Which was the reason to go there, right?
Was offered a limited edition at full price. Hashtag no deal.
Oh, dear.
Gonna live to regret that.
Do you know how much they're selling for on eBay? Because Steve Burns probably does. He's probably got one.
Well, there was one. the first one, didn't it go for like 20 grand or something?
There was one listed for $22,500.
I don't know.
They
I don't
won't
know
go
if
for
it's
that, but I reckon they'll go for
There's
couple
a few.
of grand.
I did
at
have a
least.
look online. Just I was interested to see how this whole thing was working. People
Someone else
they're
has
approaching $2,000.
Someone else has asked a favour. Anyone who can get me a new PS1 style PS4 for £19.94, I will love you greatly.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, I've only been queuing all
there.
night, and I can only get one. But you seem like a lovely person.
Because that's going to work.
Fucking what? And tweet. Tell them they're silly. Tweet them and tell them. If
somebody, like, if I was told right now that I could get one of those limited editions for 350 quid, I'd go for it straight away.
Yep.
Apparently, the first one on eBay has a buy it now of £3,500. First UK one.
Yeah, I don't think they're quite reaching that though with the bids.
You would quite easily.
Jonathan
make
Ross
that
is
back.
there.
He's going to get one, isn't he?
Of course he is.
Given one.
Hey, should we go up there now and do an intro with Jonathan Ross?
Yeah,
I'll take my sign.
it's only about 20 minutes away. Let's go.
All right.
You sure it's only 20 minutes away?
No, it's longer than that, but we can still do it.
It's Brick Lane, isn't it?
Cyber Eagle 1X asks, what has been the worst game that you've had to review? I'm going to say Tom Murray's probably got some.
The
had to review
worst
some bad
game
games
I've
in his
had to
time.
review. Well,
The Crew.
The Crew's nowhere near the worst game. There's a game on the DS.
Right.
It's two games, in fact. One of them is a monster truck game, and the other one is a ATV game, I think.
Are these two separate reviews or
two separate games?
Okay.
But they are the same game, except one of them has a monster truck and one of them has an ATV. And it's appalling. It was so bad.
What?
It was like one of them was called Monster Truck something, one of them was called ATV something, I think.
Was this a Wii game?
No, it's DS.
Oh, DS. Okay.
And they are exactly the same, apart from the fact that one of them has the model of a monster truck, one of them has a model of an ATV. It was appalling. It was so bad.
is the original formula any good? Like,
No, it was just so bad.
it's not just the fact that they've reskinned it that's
awful.
annoyed you.
I'm surprised it could have been made by one person in their bedroom. But in terms of big games, I think Body Count has to be up there with.
You know what? There was a
some of the
point
worst.
where I thought Body Count was going to be shite. And I went and played it.
Mhm.
I was showing a little bit of it, maybe half an hour. And I came away, it was like, it looks all right,
It's
actually.
so bad.
Fucking hell, Scott.
Final game.
Jesus Christ.
Nah.
It's one of the most annoying experiences I've ever had reviewing a game.
I thought it was going to be a bit. Maybe I might be getting this wrong, but do you remember Sega's shooty game where you racked up the points from Bizarre?
What, the club?
The club.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a bit like
Good.
that, but first
Club's good.
person.
Yeah.
But
It's not. Body Count is rubbish.
Video games have rubbish names, don't they?
The original Killzone, garbage.
Really bad names.
Really bad.
Killzone isn't a good name either.
Killzone's all right now.
Killzone,
Okay.
The Club, The Crew.
What's their new one they're doing? The top-down one they announced the other day. Kill Strain. Kill Strain.
No.
What,
No,
Sony?
they need to
Yeah.
change that now.
Kill Strain. It's about DNA.
Don't like it. All right.
Can I just put
sorry.
can I put a mention for Bound by Flame?
Oh
in
shit!
there?
Yeah, that was this year, wasn't it? Was it this year, February?
Start of this year.
Yeah.
It's the worst game
Some people like that game.
You
that I've
need to
ever had
review.
to play. Just the worst game I've ever touched. It's just an absolutely detestable piece of crap.
Yeah, and I reckon. Yeah, well, it came out at the perfect time to release that. A bit of a
That's
shit
the
RPG.
thing, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
got lots of people who claimed that it was good and moaned.
Imagine if that came out next.
How
to
dare you give this a
Inquisition.
2? How dare you give this a 2? I've bought it because it's the only thing I can play in my PS4 that I've just spent 400 quid on, and it's just like that's why it came out when it did, because it was literally the only like sort of passably big meaty RPG that you could play on those machines at the time. It was total garbage.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I totally would have probably played it if I hadn't seen you do it yourself.
yeah.
God damn it. Jack Churchill asks, where is Jessica Hyde? Unfortunately, we still don't know that because it's a Utopia reference and they've cancelled Utopia.
No.
So there's
It's a bit of a weird question.
Well, not if you're into Utopia, Tom, which is a fantastic
This is not a
TV
Utopia
show.
podcast,
Why
is it?
can't people send in Stargate jokes?
Stargate shit. Thomas Quilfeld. You've got an interesting name, but I
Probably
apologise
not
for not
pronounced
saying
like
it
that at all.
properly. Is there a correlation between the way one eats a cream egg and the order one tackles Far Cry / Assassin's Creed map icons?
No.
What? I don't even get the question. Say
I'm
that
just saying,
again.
Is there
if
a-
the
is there a
people that
link?
like kind of just shove it all in at once, because that is a way of eating a
And
cream egg.
that's me. That
That's
is me.
what I'd do.
I
Just
go
I don't like. Some people leave the wrapper on the bottom and hold it.
Oh
like
my goodness
that's like
gracious.
a weird technique. I'm sorry. Nobody. You have to completely pick.
I bite the top off and gently lick out the inside.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it. I was waiting. But no, I think the answer is no.
No.
Shit. Yep.
That's exactly how I consume my Ubisoft games.
Stop,
Dave.
That is David Twomi. What are your thoughts on CD Projekt Red's Witcher 3 delay, and do you think more devs should take an inspiration from this? Well, considering we've seen a bunch of games released.
A lot of talk about this. A lot of talk about.
The thing is, like, when they delay it, it's seen as a good thing.
Yeah.
If other people delay stuff, they're terrible. What
I
they're
don't
doing.
know.
Often it is. I think they get away with stuff.
I think at the moment it's a lot easier because the games that have come out have not been finished.
Yeah. I think that's completely justified decision. I've got no problem with it whatsoever. It's a huge open world game by the looks of it. And
No. But what I'm saying,
too many things that are broken when they come out.
Yeah.
So.
If Assassin's Creed Drive Club and all that hadn't happened, and they'd gone, we've delayed it again by another couple of months, I think we'd have seen a lot more reaction going, for God's sake, I just want to play The Witcher. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. But now people,
there would have been that side of it, like, I respect your decision, that's great. But I think because that's happened.
We've seen examples of what happens when you don't delay it.
Exactly, yeah. So
it's not coming out until May now, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It was originally due this autumn, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Originally, yeah.
Yep. And
then they said there'll be no more delays once they delayed it to February.
I'm looking forward to playing it, but I'm more than happy for it to be delayed. Yeah, I'm very much on that side of the fence.
I can't wait to get 2/3 into The Witcher 3 and realise that I have absolutely no fucking idea where the story is or what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. But like every Witcher game so far.
But you won't care because it looks really pretty.
Yeah.
So it'll be fine.
Everyone loves Geralt of Rivia.
He's alright. He's okay.
Namco's delayed a lot of games. Just delayed Project Cars as well, didn't they?
So. Project Car.
I say a lot of games, it's 2. But that's 2 of the big ones.
But I mean, you can't really sort of go, yes, other developers should take inspiration from this, because it's a decision that a developer will make if they think we need more time on this, so we're going to change our plans.
Well, that was one of the things that
there's nothing. It's like you can't therefore.
I think.
Well, everyone should delay everything because that's a good decision.
I think they're talking specifically about some of the like games like Unity and
should Ubisoft retroactively be inspired to?
I think they'd be inspired.
Will you stop being so awkward? All right, you know what he meant. Don't be a prick about it. It's fine.
One of the things highlighted in Polygon's THQ article
that
went up yesterday was that I can't remember who said it, but there was a quote basically saying that THQ's attitude was to the devs, it was, you've said it, we finished by this date, so it'll be out by this date, and there was no sort of room for delaying it. Essentially,
I reckon that was Simon Miller, wasn't it, laying down the law back in his THQ days?
Yeah. Simon.
They send him round as the muscle.
Where's Homefront? Where's the SpongeBob game?
Yeah. So don't release your games too early if they're broken.
Everyone
you'll end up like THQ.
If delays make a better game, provided they're not delayed too heavily, because I don't know, would you rather play an amazing game that came out 2 years after it's supposed to, or a very good one that came out 2 years
2 years
prior?
is a bit extreme, isn't it?
All right, but like back in the day, like Perfect Dark, so that was delayed for years, wasn't it?
Well, I don't know. It seemed like
you don't get those big delays these days as often, but
well, I don't know. I'm glad it wasn't released in autumn of this year. I feel like I had too much more
Dragon Age and Witcher going head to head. That'd have been good.
There's no doubt that stuff like Assassin's... How they delayed Assassin's Creed to, like, see, this week. It'd have done a lot better for them, because it would have been less... Reputation-wise, they would never have had... Because it's... The backlash
the question is, would it have affected sales at all? Like,
they did it with Far Cry 3, didn't they? They pushed that back to December, and it didn't seem to.
I think what was really, really... I think the decision as well that made the Ubisoft thing look even more ridiculous is the fact that they had 2 Assassin's Creed games out on the same day. Because you can point at that and just be like, well, you're this is a really bad plan. Like,
stop it.
Where are your priorities?
Which one? Rogue was meant to come out after, right? After Unity. Unity was meant to come out.
Unity was meant to come out 2 weeks earlier,
and then they delayed
it. The same day.
What did Rogue cause that issue then force them to have to release it on that day? Did they sit there and think, we've put all of the budget into Unity, we can't get Rogue out first because Rogue may then take a bigger amount of sales, and Unity sales then... Because to them, it's just return on investment, right? They have a spreadsheet that goes, we put this much money into the game, therefore we're going to make this much money profit out of it. And if they have another product that could potentially cannibalise that, surely their sheets will go, nope, you're getting it out on that day, otherwise the return is not so great. Could that have been an issue? I don't know.
Well, you think maybe,
Possibly.
but then why do they have 4 games within like 2 weeks of each other?
Yeah, but they're 4 different types of games.
I know, but still.
Are they, Dave?
Well, they will have radio towers in,
Yeah.
kind of.
It's Radio Tower Unlocking Simulator, isn't it?
Okay. Jim's trying to pretend that he doesn't love that.
No, but like if Assassin's
Shut up.
Creed, they want it out for Christmas, but if it had come out this Friday,
Yep.
I think it still would have done absolutely fine.
And it wouldn't. And if they had fixed it, it would have had. Like the thing, I can't see how next year. Then I don't think they'll do the same thing again. Like if it is not ready, they'll have to hold it back a bit because they can't.
New studio, right?
Well, yeah.
I don't think that. I don't think that releasing it later would have necessarily fixed it though, because it's probably in a better state at this point now than it would have been if it came out later. Because I mean, a lot of the things that they have to fix, they don't know they have to fix them until it's in the wild and these bugs are actually encountered.
True.
You know, because with the biggest QA team in the world, you can still miss things in a game that's
Yeah, but there's
complicated
some
and
stuff that shouldn't have been missed, like the falling through the floor and all that sort of the animation glitches and things. They're the stuff you can tidy up. But
All right. Okay. Well, we've just had to cut something, so
sorry,
Don't tell people you've had to cut it.
it's funny now, isn't it?
my fault
Shall we
again.
It's all right, Dave. It's all right. You know, I know towards the end of the podcast, you know, you have to get this stuff. off your chest.
I was thinking to myself, this is going to be, considering you're not going to edit this, Jim's going to have an easy time doing this because it's gone quite smoothly. And then Dave.
He has to.
I'm so sorry.
Wade in, doesn't he?
He didn't even say anything that bad.
No,
It's just didn't really say anything.
yeah,
Right. Okay.
just sort of went on a rant and didn't know what my end game was.
Yeah,
What-
I think that just describes this podcast a lot of the time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, shall we?
Someone having a wank. Go on. Actually,
Dave, please.
sorry.
I think we should probably end the podcast now.
Why? It's getting good. Let's start talking about games and stuff.
What do you think we've just been doing?
Any more questions? Where are the voicemails?
Is anyone looking forward to
Don't worry about it.
Christmas?
Yeah, we're having a Christmas party. What's happening? Can we invite people in to have a Christmas party
No.
with
Why
us?
you do this? You do this at the end of the podcast as well. You start sending out invitations to meet at the pub.
I'm
It's really weird.
I'm a social animal. I'd like people.
A social animal, right?
Yeah, we go to the
That
pub.
doesn't sound great, you know.
Myself and Bratters are regular attendees of the pub in Croydon.
The one pub in Croydon.
If you'd like to come to the pub, meet us there. Say hello.
Stop it.
What kind of gravy you having for Christmas
do
dinner?
this.
Because I put a lot of thought into this year.
I don't really know.
I'm more of a stuffing man.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like stuffing. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
gravy
can't
as well.
substitute
surely.
gravy.
They're not.
I mean,
the
they're
same
not
stuff.
mutually
No, I know,
exclusive.
I
You
know,
can have
but
one
I'm
and the other.
thinking in my head, the stuffing's going to be lovely.
Yeah. I like a bit
And
of
the
stuffing.
gravy's
I'll
lovely.
tell you
but-
something, right? If you're doing your roast potatoes, get a bit of goose fat involved.
Ooh.
You've
Oh,
set
yeah.
yourself up for a
Oh,
treat
yeah.
there.
Big news. I made gravy the other day, but I didn't realise that when it boils, it thickens up. So I'm there, it's a bit watery, I'm adding more of the OXO gravy or whatever it is in
Did you
there.
not just do instant?
I don't know what, Bisto, maybe it's Bisto instead. And pouring
So
it in.
when you said you made gravy,
yeah.
you mean you made it up from Bisto?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
All right,
I'm not sure
okay.
that really counts.
And it's thickening up. I'm stirring it, adding more Bisto. And ended up, it was just like a solid brick. I couldn't eat it.
I think you probably used most of a tub of.
I kept trying to add more water to it. It just wasn't doing
God,
it.
suddenly you've got
right.
like 4 litres of
Because
gravy.
you've got a solid block of Bisto.
It was amazing in the fact that I'd actually made gravy.
You didn't
But
though, did
an
you?
You
industrial
didn't make
cake.
it. You did not make the gravy.
I
I
am
love that.
an
Such a
excellent
loose term.
chef. I cooked a pizza here
I
once.
have to say though, in terms of gravy, I love that. Just that original Bisto still does it. It's still
Going on?
perfect.
What's going on?
I don't know.
I'm going to try and get out of here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for listening to this week's
I don't want it to end. Can we
Video
just keep
Gamer
talking, Jim?
UK podcast. It's been a pleasure to have you here with us today, and I'd like to thank everyone.
How many podcasts do we have left this year?
One, isn't it? One next week,
One
and then
next
that's
week.
us.
Can we do a special
We
Christmas
might-
podcast?
We might better do a special one. We'll see. Not guaranteed.
Like an end of year roundup?
Not guaranteed, but there might be if
I
there's
hope
time.
so. Let's do it this
Do
afternoon.
you guys remember getting Christmas dinner in school?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Thank you very much for listening to Video Game UK podcast. It's been a pleasure, and thank you to my co-hosts, plural
For some
today,
fucking
Tom Ari,
shortbread. I'll see you later.
David
I
Scammell,
love you very much.
and Jim Trinker.
Bye.
Goodbye.